Okay, take 75. I swear, technology is going to be the end of me. I thought I would, who cares? You don't need to know my story for this. What day is it? Is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? Is it Monday? I don't even know what day it is. So I'm still going to talk about book launching. And what I wanted to talk about, because I've had a couple of different things. Okay, back it up. Remember when I did my live last week and I was talking about all the things that people say when they start a live that drive everyone else insane? And I gave mine and then other people gave theirs. And now I'm so sensitive to all of them. Like, one of the things that people said last week was, I keep getting asked, or everyone asks me, when that's really not always true when people say that. So what I'm going to say is, in full transparency, I had one situation in the last week, but it was reflective of something that I've dealt with myself as an author, that I've talked with clients about, that I've talked with other authors about many, many times. So I suspect that many of you are having the same questions and concerns. This particular author has a very large platform, shall we say, very large audience. And prior to the release of the book, the feeling on the author's part, don't you love how I do such a good job to not clarify or identify who I'm speaking of. But said author said, Elizabeth, it's going to sell like crazy, which authors usually fall into one of two camps. They think they're going to sell 1 million books right out of the gate, or they think they're going to sell none ever until ever. This particular author, fairly based on the size of said author's audience, felt that the books were going to sell pretty quickly. You know, we were going to have a good out the door situation. Didn't happen. So I got a message a couple days ago, and to be clear, I don't work with authors on their launches, but I have a launch course, but I don't work, I'm more in the pre-launch thing. Tim Burke, good morning. This author said, it's not selling. That was effectively the message. It's not selling, no one's buying it. And I said, okay. Now, understandably, that is disappointing for authors out of the gate. I've said it before, let me say it again. Your launch day is the most anticlimactic day of your entire life as an author. Why? Because you put this thing out there, and if you set it up properly, it just goes. And by just goes, I don't mean it just sells millions. I mean it just what's supposed to happen happens, and then what's gonna happen happens. But fireworks don't go off, Beyonce doesn't show up at the front door with a cake, like nothing of that nature happens. And so it feels as though you've put all this work into it and now you're just waiting. And you're just waiting. When people are disappointed, myself included, with out of the gate sales, I see that as a huge opportunity. The reason I see that as a huge opportunity, good morning, Karen, is because there are nearly 8 billion people on the planet, a statistic that continues to be repeated. But let's just take that down. If anyone watches New Girl and you saw the episode where Cece was going to marry Schmidt, her mother found out, and the mother really wanted her to marry someone of East Indian descent. And she said, you know, there are 4 million men, and if you assume that half of them are not nice, you've got 2 million. And if you assume that half of those are gay, you have 1 million. And she gets herself down to where she's basically like, you have a pool of 750,000 men from which you can choose, and you've chosen this guy, which was the right guy for her. Completely different conversation. It's the same with books. Forget the 8 billion number. If you just take the number of people in this country, if you just take the number of people in your state, you have a lot of people to whom you can sell your book. You don't need to sell millions of books to make an impact. To be honest with you, you only have to sell one. So I have notes here so I can stay on track. The most important thing when you launch a book, first let me chat about the difference between launching and marketing. They're used interchangeably. It doesn't matter. Launch to me is a push. It's your launch day. It's another push into a different market. So let's say that when you launch, you decide, I'm going to target all high schools or all high school teachers because that's where my book fits in. Once you've done that, you're inevitably going to go, okay, now what? Now you have another launch, but you don't have to call it a launch. You can call it continuous marketing. So lots of people like to say, well, my launch day or my pub day, and that's the day that your book comes out. Emilio, good morning. That's the day that your book comes out onto the market, but you can continue to relaunch it. And other people, some people like to say that they are just in the marketing phase of it, which you will be in perpetuity, I might add, until you decide, and you get to make the decision if you've done this yourself or with a small publisher with whom you have an agreement or, whatever, that you want out. I don't know why it's so fun to be here. Why would you want out? So the deal is this, it's a long game. The individual who I spoke with this week, who was very upset because massive platform, and when I say massive platform, I mean mid to high 5-figure numbers. I mean, that's pretty big of an engaged, yes, you can buy that. This person did not. It's an engaged group. Not many people are buying. My response to that is you have an audience problem. There was pushback on that, which is fine. Push back. Let's talk about it. The more the conversation went on, the more it became clear that it was an audience problem. The audience that this author is dealing with, it's a nonfiction book. It's not fiction. So it's about a very specific topic. It's about a very heated topic. And what I was gleaning from the author is that the audience that this author has built believes that they know everything there is to know about the topic. So then why would they buy the book? So you have an audience problem. But that doesn't mean that you have a book problem. It doesn't mean that you have a title problem. It doesn't mean that you have a cover design problem. It does not mean that you have a content problem. It means that you have an audience problem. And this can be translated to any... Michelle, good morning. It is so lovely to see you. That can be translated, by the way, to any business, product, service, industry, the whole thing. Audience problem. Now, some people would get frustrated by this. I get excited. Why? Pivot. I love to pivot. I'm a huge Friends fan. I'm very upset that they're not on Netflix anymore, but now they're coming out on HBO, so woo! Pivot, okay, people? Let's get into the 3 things I need you to do. When you're launching, when you're marketing, it's a long game. You have forever. Guys, my first book came out in 2002. It's still my bestseller. It's been retitled. It's in its 3rd edition. It's still the best-selling book. If you think I'm not still pivoting to find new audiences, you're wrong, because I am on the daily. So you're always looking for the new person. I wake up every day and I think, how can I get this book into one person's hands today who truly needs it? It's not about making the sale. It's not about how can I earn the $4.23 that I'm going to make off of this book or that book or the other book. It's about, good morning, Bill Schomburg. It's about finding the person who is looking, right? You're looking for your audience and they're looking for you. You're not begging anybody to buy anything. You're not that's not what it is. They're looking for you. So meet them halfway and let them know why your book is a good fit. And if your book isn't a good fit, that's okay too. But you're always looking for the next thing. And for most people, for most authors, and what I encourage you to do, good morning, Katie Maris, is to look in groups, to go for groups. So lots of times people will start with, if you've written a business book, Melissa Burrow, great example, client of mine, friend, Chasing Bentleys is her book. It's about accountability. She's high up in the car industry, in the automotive industry. And I said car industry, and that sounded weird. In the automotive space. And so she went, it's like low-hanging fruit. She went to all of the people that she knows in the industry whose I hate the word subordinates. People don't work for me, they work with me. And right now, nobody works with me. I am a lone ranger. But when they do, they will work with me. No one will ever work for me. I don't, it's weird. But she went and she said, I have this book that can help your people, which helps you sell more cars. And they were like, sweet, send me 10,000. I don't know. But she sold a lot of books that way. Now, you get to a point. Holly Jayarmati, another client of mine, author of The Mother of All Makeovers. She's an interior designer. She went to her design crew first. She sold a lot of books. And then she called me and said, Elizabeth, I've exhausted the design crew. Now what? Do I quit? No, you don't quit. What's the next group? Your book is about parenting too. Your book is about making a new shift. So pick a new group. Thank you, Bill. I'm just over here doing it all. It's super fun. I have a lot of hats, but they're in the washing machine. Find a new group. Find a new bunch of people. Melissa Burrow, I just talked about you. Find a new group of people that you can put your message in front of and put your book in front of. It's endless. I promise you, it's endless. My God, once you get out of your state, get out into the more country, get out into the world, do the whole big thing. The second thing you have to know in order to do this, and this goes back to my friend who has the audience problem, you have to know your audience. I don't care. I'm getting passionate. When people call me and they say, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, I have 157,000 followers on Instagram. I don't care. And that's not meant to be rude. Like, that's awesome. And that's great. But how many of them are engaged, and how many of them are actually, if all of your Instagram followers, if you're a designer and all of your Instagram followers are following you because of design, and then you write a book about how to fix the kitchen sink, maybe a few of them will buy it, but they're going to be confused, and you're going to have to create a new audience. So again, I get very specific with clients and with friends and with people on I was going to say subway, but we don't have a subway here. With people at the coffee shop about who your audience is. It doesn't have to be everyone. I know I can list, at least on one hand, and really going on to two at this point, authors I promise you've never heard of, who have made over 7 figures. 1, 2, 3, that's $1 million. Over that, math isn't my thing, right? Numbers aren't my thing. You've never heard of them because they know who their market is. They know who their audience is. And you don't have to put it out to everybody. Silliness. So you just got to start over. Unfortunately, this person does not have to start over at the beginning. But what you have to get very clear about is who is your audience for your book. And sometimes, here's what I'll liken it to. It's like when you go through something personally and people say, it's cliche, you really figure out who your true friends are when you're going through something, because they're the ones who, really reach out and come down. This is true with the book too. You find out who your real audience is. Who is actually listening to you? Who actually cares? Because you can have 200,000 followers easily. I can go buy them right now. Half of them are robots, and half of the other half don't care. And it's like, that doesn't feel good. If I can just put it out there plain and simple, it feels good to look at your numbers and go, oh my God, I have 200,000 people following me. Like, this is awesome. It doesn't feel good when only 3 of them buy and it's not about buying. Let me be very clear. It's about connecting with what you have to offer as a professional, as for an impact, what you're passionate about helping people do. If you've got this massive audience and they're not passionate about connecting with you, thank you, Melissa. I love it when people agree with me. Niche. I was saying niche for a long time, but then I became friends with Nick Stevenson over in the UK, and he says niche, and everything they say in the UK sounds better, so we're going with niche. Who's your niche? 2 of them that can get exactly, no, the whole thing. Michelle, it's a cluster. It's a cluster, and you can start to feel lonely really, really, really fast. Because you just you feel like a small fish in a massive pond. And to be honest, you are. But that's good, because the pond is huge. It's an ocean. Like, just swim away and go find the other thing. Okay, point 3. A lot of people don't talk about this. Here we go. Melissa Burrow is going to love this one. Know your value. More often than not, people will say, well, I'm just going to discount the book, specifically the ebook. I'm going to make it 99 cents or $1.99 or $2.99. Now, to be clear, I do recommend that during my 12-day, I have a 12-day launch plan. I do recommend that, and there are a lot of reasons, and we talk about it in the core, blah, 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 who cares? But the point is, to just bring it down and think that that's going to bring, good morning, Anthony, that's going to bring the buyers, the readers, is A, not true. And B, more often than not, you're going to bring the wrong readers. Okay, there is a huge collection of people, no judgment, that they wake up every day to get the latest 99-cent book, period, end of story. They never read it. So and I shouldn't say never, I shouldn't speak in superlatives. They very often, most likely, probably, possibly, they don't. And I was just talking about this to someone the other day, about the concept of if someone buys Melissa Burrows' book, Melissa does not want them to put that on their shelf and never read it. Melissa wants it underlined and highlighted and dog-eared and mangled and the whole thing. Thank you. See, Melissa, she knows. I will never discount my book. My content is worth far more. I do love this. It's so fun. Now, you can discount it on occasion to get a little bump up. What I'm talking about is keeping it constantly at $2.99 and thinking that's going to work. I can't even tell you when I get, and I'm sure you do too, when I get notices from my friends that their friends have books that are on sale for 99 cents or free for 3 days or something like that, and can you go out and download to support? I download to support all day long. But here's the thing, my Kindle is full of them. So yeah, it helps the numbers for a hot second. That's a completely different topic. But it doesn't help the author. Because what you're looking to do as an author is get people to connect with you, number one, and your story and your perspective and your experience. And secondly, your approach. Because if they can, if you don't I had someone message me a bit ago and say, stop swearing, it's beneath you. And I immediately unfriended this individual. Because if that's fine. If that's not for you, I apologize. I don't even apologize. If that's not for you, but don't read my book. I mean, I'm not excessive. I don't gratuitously swear, but I do love a well-placed F-bomb, okay? And so if my book isn't for you because you don't, that's okay. But go find the book that is for you. You know, that's what needs to happen. If the book is just sitting on the shelf, you don't know if it's for you or not. And this is where books come into play when it comes to generating new clients, generating new business, because you're looking for the people that connect on your level, whatever level that is. Be you. That's why I did a 3rd edition of the first book, because the first book, the first time I did it, I didn't swear. And I didn't swear a lot in the 3rd edition, to be clear. I'm not Chelsea Handler here. I love Chelsea Handler. I'm just not her. But I wasn't me. I wasn't fully me in that book because I was worried about appealing to almost 8 billion people on this planet. They might be doing this and they might be doing that, and I don't want to turn anybody off and I don't want to make anybody mad. When I finally did this last edition, which was 2 years ago, I was like, it's all me. This is me. Like it, don't like it, I'm fine. I'm totally fine either way, but I hope that the people who are also standing in Starbucks with a baby in each arm, in their pajamas, in fuzzy socks, they think they put on shoes, but they didn't, with their hair on top of their head, saying the F word over and over and over again, and then feeling terrible because they've just introduced that word to their 3-week-old twins. We get each other. We understand each other. We'd hang out together. So that's fun. So that is my blip. And I'm just so glad that I stayed live. The dog didn't bark. I didn't have a sneezing attack. This has been very successful. So continue to let me know what your questions are, because I don't know unless you bring them at me, and I'll address them as very best I can, or find someone who can, because let's get the books out there, people. Write the damn book already. Have it amazing. It's Wednesday, right? Have an amazing Wednesday.